Hi YouTube and welcome to my channel. My name is Patrick. Today we're going to talk about some of the most common myths and misconceptions in cybersecurity. So let's dig right in. So in cybersecurity, misconceptions can lead to serious vulnerabilities. So here are some of the most common myths that you've probably heard before. Myth number one: antivirus software alone is enough protection. So, the misconception here is that people often believe that having antivirus software provides complete protection against cyber threats. And that's a problem, because if you sit there and you think you're totally safe from cybersecurity threats because you have a good antivirus, look, the fact you have a good antivirus is good. I'm not saying you don't need one, but that alone is not going to keep you safe. The number one protection that you can have in cybersecurity is common sense. And the thing is, if you throw common sense out the window because you've got a good antivirus, you're going to end up infected. You're going to end up having your identity stolen. You're going to end up having your bank accounts compromised. It's it's critical that you don't rely on just your antivirus. And again, having a strong antivirus is a great thing, and it does go a long way towards keeping you safe, but that in itself is not enough to protect you. That really boils down to your behavior. Okay, myth number two: hackers only target large companies. So here's the misconception: small businesses and individuals believe that they're not targets because they don't have resources or data worth stealing. In reality, cybercriminals often target small businesses because they have typically weaker defenses. And don't forget, these attackers are not sitting here typing on their keyboard and trying to hack you. All of this stuff is automatic. So all they do is they click one button and then they try out an attack against hundreds, thousands of small businesses all at once. And the thing about that is they don't care if you have something worth stealing, data wise, because every business does have one thing that's valuable, and that is the business's ability to stay in production. If the attackers can do something that causes you to not be able to generate revenue, it takes down your systems so you can't make money, well, then they're going to take that away from you and use it to hold you for ransom. So just because you're an individual, just because you're a small business, that doesn't mean that they're not going to try attacking you. In fact, it might even mean that they're going to try harder to attack you because again, you're going to have lower defenses. It's all about the path of least resistance. The attackers always follow the path of least resistance to get to the biggest payout. Now, this is a little bit of a tangent, but that's where deception-based security comes in. What you should do is deceive the attacker into thinking that they've attacked you when in reality they haven't. If you're interested in learning some more about deception-based security, then definitely subscribe to my channel. I've got a video coming out about that next week. Alright, myth number three, and this is a big one. Software updates are not critical. Oh boy. So the misconception is that people assume that software updates are just minor improvements that can be delayed or skipped. That's very untrue. In reality, software updates contain critical security patches that fix vulnerabilities actively being exploited by attackers. Failing to install security updates, it leaves your system open to attacks like the WannaCry virus, which exploited unpatched vulnerabilities. So, yes, it is annoying to have to run software updates, and yes, sometimes software updates break things, but you need to be keeping your systems up to date in a reasonable amount of time. If you're not paying attention to your updates, you're probably running out of date software right now. And the smart move is to set up a system that handles updates automatically for you across the board, because no one's going to remember to update everything all the time. And so what you need to do is centralize that process and build out some infrastructure. And this is in regards to a small, medium, large size business. But you should build out infrastructure that ensures that updates are pushed out in a predefined amount of time. And yeah, if you're not paying attention to your updates, you're going to be in a bad situation soon. And don't come crying to me when you get hit with WannaCry. Alright, myth number 4, and this is a big one. The cloud is always secure. Sorry, that makes me laugh, and you'll see why in a second. But many think that just because your data is in the cloud, that means that it's secure. That's very untrue. You see, cloud services rely on a shared responsibility model. So the cloud provider like Microsoft and AWS, they will secure the infrastructure that runs the cloud services, but the actual services themselves and the data in those services, those are your responsibility to keep secure. And just because something is in the cloud does not mean that it's safe. This applies to businesses and individuals. So if you're sitting here thinking, my data is safe because I've got it in OneDrive, my data is safe because I've got it in iCloud, well, no. It is your responsibility to keep that data safe, and you can't just rely on the default configurations because, frankly, they're not secure. You really do have to pay attention to where your data is, make sure that you're following steps to actually secure it, because the cloud service provider is not going to secure it for you. Alright, and our final myth, the titular one. Is it safe to use out-of-date operating systems like Windows 7 if you practice common sense? I've gotten in so many arguments about this. People love Windows 7, and I get it, but it's just not safe to be using Windows 7 these days. So the misconception is that people think that if you use an unsupported operating system without security patches, that you'll be safe as long as you're smart. Now, I understand that a few minutes ago I said that common sense is one of the most important aspects of cybersecurity, but you're not going to outthink a zero day. You're not going to outthink a zero-click vulnerability. So, obviously, with something like Windows 7, it's been out of support for a few years now. If you look up Windows 7 vulnerabilities online, you'll see a plethora of zero-click exploits. You're not going to outthink a zero-click exploit. That's just not how it works. And, there are dozens, even hundreds of these vulnerabilities out for stuff like Windows 7 now that are not getting patched. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Again, you're not going to outsmart a zero-click exploit. But just look at the CVE Details website, and you'll see a massive list of vulnerabilities for Windows 7 and other unsupported OSs, and it's simply just not safe. It's a ticking time bomb. I mean, you might be good for a week, you might be good for a month, you might be good for a year, but I guarantee you that you are going to get hacked eventually if you're running an out-of-date operating system. Anyway, thank you for watching. On this channel, we don't take sponsors and we don't monetize. So all of this information is from me without any outside influence. And if you enjoy this type of content, then definitely hit the subscribe button down below. And if you liked this video, like the video. Anyway, thank you for watching. My name is Patrick. I'll catch you in the next one.